Hey everybody, Mestre Sukuri coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. It's a beautiful day here today. We're expecting some weather changes and it's supposed to be some large typhoon is in the south of Japan and it's going to create a lot of storms and rain for us. But we should be okay because it's supposed to be going towards the left of Japan, which is towards China and Korea. But hopefully everybody will be okay. Welcome to episode number 6. Wow, I can't believe last week went by so fast and I got so many done. I put out episode 5 yesterday and I realized I just have so much stuff that I still want to do. And this platform of doing the podcast is just great. I'm still trying to think of what I'm going to do. Maybe in the future, I'll put the collection of the podcasts on regular podcasts. But so far, I'm just doing it for you guys because this is something that I shouldn't do everything for free, and you guys are supporting, so I want to do it for you guys. It just makes sense to me. So here we go. This conversation that I want to have with you guys today is really interesting. Over the last 2 months, I've been organizing to make some big shipments from Brazil to come to Japan, and the reason is I wholeheartedly see myself teaching capoeira for the rest of my career as best I can. Hopefully one day I'll be like Mestre Vibes and I'll be, 80 and I'm still doing capoeira. So far, I've ordered more capoeira pants for adults from Marimundo Sinha, who I've been ordering from since 2005. And now also, like many of you know, Mestre Vibes is almost like a father figure to me in capoeira. And he's getting me a bunch of calças and capoeira pants from Bahia, the ones that the size and the shape tend to make the kids here feel more comfortable. So it's a much more like sports pants versus the low cut that adults wear. So I also was able to finally get some berimbau vergas. Vergas is the stick part of the berimbau, the instrument that we use in capoeira. And it's an unusual long size, so regular post won't ship. You either have to do freight shipping, which takes several months, or you have to use one of the big DHL or FedEx. So I want to go over something just, if you guys are teaching capoeira, if you guys are involved in it or dealing with anything in this kind of business, that, the word comes up a lot like professionalism, right? And I realized, so many people have a different vision of it, and a lot of people don't really understand. There is one basic definition of the word professionalism. I guess the best way to do that would be if I actually check the word professionalism on the internet and what it means, right? Professionalism is when, let me see if I can do this. Sorry, I don't type as fast as most people. Okay, so professionalism. The competence or skill expected of a professional. Okay. The practicing of an activity, especially a sport, by a professional. Okay, professionalism. The competence or skill expected to do your job correctly. Let's say that. Now, over the last 35 years, I've been dealing with Brazil and 34 years and people working in the capoeira industry, but also I grew up Mexican American. So growing up, there was also a very big lack of awareness of what the word professional means, right? And me coming from my background, I didn't know what it was until many years later as I grew and fortunately had the opportunity to go to college and really understand what professionalism is. So when we're dealing with, let's say, I'm going to use Brazil because that's what I mean. This has anything to do with the people. It has to do with the level of awareness and education and what the word professionalism is. In capoeira, we always say in Portuguese, we have bom trabalho, faz bom trabalho, do a good job. And I've realized, and I wrote this in my book, not on the path of capoeira, maybe on the path of capoeira, but for sure in Capoeira Fire, most of the mestres, Brazilian mestres that I interviewed about what do they see as the problem on the international or in the capoeira world, most of them, well, actually all of them complain that it's the Brazilian side that's lack of education, lack of of understanding, lack of professionalism. And we need to understand that there is a big difference in the country that you're raised and how you see things, even at the low end. And I'll give you guys 3 examples so you can better understand, and then I'll tell you about why I brought this up today. So first, I grew up very poor in South San Diego, and I had no idea what the word professionalism. For me, professionalism was just hustling, but when you're hustling, you're just trying to survive day by day. And I remember, the people around me, there wasn't a lot of professionalism. People are strong because life made them that way, but they're not actually professional. For example, when I was a little kid, when I was 8 years old, a friend of mine had one of those old lawnmowers, the ones that you push and they rotate. And we pulled it out of his dad's garage, and we went around and we knocked on doors. Hey, can we cut your grass? Can we just get involved in doing your yard for a couple of bucks? And we did that, and I started doing that at the age of 8. I know this because I remember a picture that we had somewhere, and my mom was like, "Yeah, you're 8 years old at the time," and I was wearing this Mexican, like, really cool kind of Aztec cheap tourist shirt that my mom got me when I was in Mexico. As a kid, we used to go a lot, like every summer. And I remember, going door to door thinking, like, man, I'm really getting this done. I'm really hustling. But the word professionalism, of course, didn't come into my mind because I was only 8. And so what we did was just basically, charm people, work hard, and get it. We didn't do anything professional like work, like organize or, extra stuff, reinvest into what we did. But, what are you going to do at 8? So because of the lack of education, even having grown up in the United States, I didn't really know what the word meant. And I'm glad that one day I was able to kind of understand it. When I was in Mexico at the age of 14, I went to go visit my sister, and she was staying with her friend in the countryside of Guanajuato, Paseo de Allende, which is a really small country town. I remember you drove off the main highway onto a dirt road to get to the town. And we stayed, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life of going to Mexico. Generally, we went to Mexico City to see my mom's side of the family. And I just remember it's like that image of Mexico in the 80s, right? It's just that image of like rattlesnakes, the first Desperado, the first El Mariachi movie, kind of like that. And it's just really romantic for me to think about and how much fun I had those few weeks that I was down there. And the family we stayed with, they had a bakery, right? And every morning, like literally, the farmer would bring a cow to, that they would milk, and that's how they would sell the milk to the bakery for the baking and all that. And it's probably one of the best times of my life, best vacations of my life. And it was a working vacation because we had to do, we had to help, we had to do. And I remember the house didn't have a stove or gas, so it was always every day food was cooked on an open flame. Now, I've eaten a lot of Mexican food in my life, but I'll never forget the taste of those corn tortillas de masa, and how delicious it tasted with a little bit of salt cooked over an open fire. Like, for me, that's always going to be something that stays in my head. Now, remember the crimson sunsets and everything. We went one day, my sister and I, and we took one of the sons who was kind of like my age, so he was kind of like my friend when I was down there. And we went to Querétaro, which is a state over, not too far. And we went to a big shopping mall, and I was like, wow, this is nice. So we walked towards the escalator, and that's when I had an epiphany, because my friend, I can't remember his name right off the bat, it's been a while, but my friend stuttered step, kind of scared, how do you use the escalator? And maybe some people would have laughed. Some people would say, oh, what a country boy. But I was really lucky to, at the time, realize, wow, we come from different walks of life, and it's not something to make fun of people, but, he had never seen an escalator before. Maybe he had seen it on TV, and people might say, oh, he's uncouth and backwards. But the truth is, this guy was super smart. If you want to talk about country stuff, this guy could do it all. I saw him handle a snake. Oh, he must have been 15, 16. He was driving me around. What else did he do? He could make all the bread at the bakery he could also shoot a slingshot and nail like a flower or a piece of fruit hanging from the tree. I must have been like, 30 feet. And we all grow up in different environments that create these different skills, right? However, on the international level, on a level of business, when you're doing this, you have to have some sort of professionalism. The first thing is, of course, keeping your word, right? Doing your best quality, doing the best that you could do. But it made me think, we all come from different, walks of life, and we all have different ways of learning and different process. But if you want to go to a certain level, you have to transcend what you were brought up in. And that reminds me of this third story here. When I was just in San Diego about, I want to say 5 months ago, I was there with my little girl getting her college stuff ready. And we went to go visit my brother, right? And I love my brother. He's awesome. And it reminded me how ghetto we grew up. And when I say ghetto, I don't mean like negative things, but just how like single mother, Mexican mom, welfare, food stamps, below the poverty line, growing up in San Diego and right on the border. And like how much, it contributed to my adventurous spirit and to my own discipline and being able to do things. But at the same time, just how ghetto we were. And when we were in San Diego last time, my daughter, I looked over and I told my brother, and I go, bro, damn, you're still ghetto. And my daughter looked at me like, right? And she didn't do it in a bad way. She was just kind of shocked to see a different way of life. She knew me and she was like, Dad, wow. And I looked right in the eyes. I said, baby girl, I was 100 times more ghetto than your uncle was. She just looked at me and she's like, after that, she had said everything that I've told her over the years kind of all made sense and came together. So she had an epiphany of things I've grown up telling her, and it made me happy, right? Because she's understanding that we all don't come from two-parent houses, middle class, and that it helps her to appreciate what the struggles and the trials and tribulations that I've gone through to get to where I am and to create a good life for her. So back to the thing now is the people I've been dealing with, and the reason I'm bringing this up because I know a lot of people in the capoeira world deal with this. Now, this podcast and these things I do are geared towards non-Brazilian teachers of capoeira. Although I hope Brazilian teachers see it, as a cultural anthropologist and as a master of capoeira, there's a distinct different way that, let's say, Western Europeans, North Americans, and let's say Australia and England, all that, are raised with a general understanding of the word professionalism means, while what the word means or lack of the word meaning in Portuguese in the community and in the industry we work. I know so many good friends from Brazil who are lawyers and doctors, educators, and they're incredibly professional. Okay? What I'm talking about is the Brazilian mentality within capoeira itself. Okay? And let me tell you just a couple of things. So I ordered the vergas from Brazil, and I ordered 20 I ordered 30, and then they still haven't arrived. And the process that it takes for it to get here, if anyone saw how many emails that the guy who's doing this sent it to me, they would freak out. They would be like, what the hell is this? So I was talking to Mestre Vibes, and I go, look, this is how much I had to deal with this guy for just these, vergas for the beating bows. And the guy was, like, oh, I've done this before. I've shipped abroad. I know what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. But just through the process of getting this done was so lack of professionalism that it was awe-inspiring. And Mestre Vibes was, he's such a good thing. He's like, I'm sorry. He apologized. This is what makes me upset with Brazilian capoeira teachers. And I said, bye. I said, Father, I go, you know what? I know it's like this. I know it's like this. It's not something that I don't know about. So I'm not complaining about it. I'm laughing about it. Why? Because if I don't, it's going to irritate me and it's going to stress me out. Everything I did now took time and took energy, took money, but it's still less than me having to physically go to Brazil, pick them up, load them on the airplane, and do everything. So if everything works out, it's a win-win. And in our industry of capoeira, these are crucial to what I do. It would be like a hammer and nail to a carpenter. It would be like an office and a stethoscope to a doctor. Without these instruments, I can't do my job as a capoeira teacher. And I ordered extra so that I have some for the next few years. I over-ordered, ended up ordering 50 so that I would have enough for the next 10 years. And this would be enough for also my Capoeira Zoador and to sell a few so that I can make some of my money back. So when I did this, I was scrolling through the emails, and it's like, it starts off just, hey, look, I want 30 berimbau sticks. Okay, I also have this. And the hustle energy that he had as a grown man running his business from Brazil online is the same energy I felt as a 12-year-old, as a 13-year-old hustling. And which is crazy because I remember like at 12 years old, there was this van that used to pick us up, and it was for the Star or the Union Tribune. I can't remember at the time, but we were picked up, dropped off in different areas, and we'd go door to door, and we would sell subscriptions to the newspaper, and then we get a cut of the sale, right? And like one sale would be like $1 or $2, but if you did 4 or 5 in a day, you can make $10, and that was a lot of money for me back then, especially when I had no cash access whatsoever. I had to hustle for everything. And I understand, like, trying to sell like the bonus section, if you include the Sunday one, you'll get the coupons. And I remember like that energy. And then I realized, because of the industry that we work in, a lot of times people don't get past that. I remember in Brazil, and anyone who's been to Brazil remembers the kids back in the day. This is too long ago, but like they would stand on the corner and they were like, oh, telephone cards, because they used to use telephone cards in Brazil to call people, and they would be like, cartão de ligação, R$1, like selling one real to sell like a phone card. Little kids in the street. I mean, not older than I was, 10, 12, 11, whatever. Kids that age selling, bananas, fruits, everything, just trying to, make ends meet and provide for themselves and their family. And a lot of times in the capoeira industry, unfortunately, and I'm not saying everybody, but in my experience, most of the people I dealt with are like that. They're kind of stunted at that level. And for reasons of not wanting to learn, or reasons of not understanding, or reasons of not being able to click on to what it means, that at this age, like a 35-year-old is still acting that way, still doing that hustle, still doing that thing. And that's very cultural, I think. And I'm not putting it down, but I'm saying if you guys are getting involved in capoeira, you need to understand how much this takes. If I were to put a price tag on the sticks I ordered, because they're still not here. He sent them to FedEx, and I'd asked for the number, but they're still not here. And he still doesn't know the number, which generally is so organized outside of this order. Like the second they pick up the FedEx order, already it's going to be like, here's your number for tracking. So we'll see what happens if they don't come and I get duped. Well, there it is. But I mean, of course, I'm going to be posting about don't buy from this guy and the bad service and everything. Now, the thing is, at the end of the day, this is my choice to be in this industry. A lot of times, non-Brazilians will complain about Brazilians and how disorganized, unprofessional, tricky, and underhanded a lot of situations can be. And I say to them, okay, but that's the industry. Only thing that I really, really, really hate and despise is when non-Brazilians try to act that way when they don't have to. Like I remember in San Diego when I was there, and some of the people involved would always trying to do this hustle. And I'm like, wow, you guys are still hustling in that age, because it's like let's see if we can be our ghetto, hustle, but in the capoeira industry, because the teachers do it, so we should do it too. And I always thought that was kind of really, beneath us doing that in the first world country, because I understand where that comes from, because I've seen the same hustle in Mexico growing up. I understand that I've chosen to be in this industry, so this is part of it. You learn to make better connections. You learn not to let it give you stress, and you learn to appreciate those relationships that you have. For example, Marimbundo Sinya, I always order the adult cultists from them. And from what I know, I'm the only person that orders directly from the owner, even though his son is taking over and helping a lot more. The only person that the owners can order from the owner, and I don't have to pay in advance. I always pay. When he sends me the bill, I pay. But for example, generally his system is you order the pants, he sends you the estimate, you get the estimate, you pay half the estimate up front, then he goes and gets the material, takes it to the cutter, takes it to the seamstress, then they cut it, and then they sew them and they do everything for you. He puts the silk screen on it at his place too. So all of this stuff, has to be prepaid for at least half, like a deposit, but I always pay full because I trust him, because I've been doing this since 2005, and I believe in trusting people. If someone breaks that trust, well, it's not my fault, and I walk away. And you probably won't be surprised, but 99.9% of the time that I walk away when somebody is unprofessional or breaks my trust, they're the ones talking bad about me. Normal. So I can order from the Marimbundo Sinya generally without putting down a deposit, but I always do it. Like I have to actually send for the shipping today, and the trust is there. Even though how many times, almost every other order since 2005, something was wrong. But I understand that is part of the industry. It's like you're asking for every single piece of coal to come out to be a diamond, for every single oyster to have a pearl. No, generally it's pretty standard, and if you're lucky, you get something to work with. But you also have to be able to tell your clients and everything how that works out. But like I said, I chose this industry and I love it. I love the people in it. I love the people who I work with. Again, I cut all the toxic people. So now I'm kind of speaking from a position of not being obliged to do anything like that. But that's just, a couple of ideas to give you about dealing with the capoeira world and how I understand it and how I do things. And remember, at the end of the day, you control who you work with. You control who you want to. Capoeira is about freedom and liberation, so you're not obliged to anyone. Guys, thanks for listening today. I hope you have a fantastic day. And let me know if you guys have any questions or insights.